talk about an innovation that they've been working on together in their partnership between their two organizations, that is 29th Street Capital and prefabADU, two companies in the space of respectively finance and constructing ADUs. We think we've got great opportunities for San Jose homeowners and, more importantly, for many tenants who are looking for a place to live. So first, I want to start with a little bit of background about the work we've done here at the city of San Jose and what our ambitions are around building backyard homes or ADUs in our city. It's no secret that, like many suburban cities throughout the Western United States, we're largely single-family homes. And because that is the nature of the majority of our parcels, being able to densify and be able to get more residents living on each of these single-family parcels is critical to address our affordable housing crisis and our challenges in getting housing built. Back about 5 years ago, when we were starting to think about this, maybe a couple dozen ADUs were built in any given year in this city. What we've seen since that time is extraordinary. We've seen amazing amounts of progress. Pardon me, I'm gonna get that phone. We've seen incredible progress in being able to accelerate the permitting, to reduce barriers for homeowners who are trying to get backyard homes built on their parcels, and to simplify the entire process. And I want to give a big shout out to our city team who's been working very hard on a whole series of initiatives I'll talk about in just a moment, led by Chu Chang, who's our fearless interim director of planning building, and has been our leading building official in this city for many years. Sarah Scholl, who is our ADU ally. She's the one who is helping hold the hand for many homeowners, hundreds of homeowners in our city who are trying to build our ADUs throughout the city. Maysoon Dali, Lisa Joyner, and Andrew Wozencroft. Please forgive me, Andrew, if I just mispronounced your name. In any event, we've got an incredible team who have been working at changing the city process, trying to help folks get through what we know is very daunting. And the great challenge that we're trying to solve here is that we know homeowners are not developers. And we also know homeowners have a financial challenge in getting financing for backyard homes and ADUs. They don't have proof of income from a tenant if they don't have any tenants yet. They only have one single parcel, and you can't attach any part of that typically for financing in the same way you would if you were trying to finance a mortgage on a single parcel home. And so there are great challenges in getting through financing and building challenges. What we've done at the city is we've been reducing city fees, and now with state laws that are waiving some of those fees, that's been very helpful. We've been expediting permitting. We can now get a permit to an applicant homeowner within an hour and a half, a single meeting, and we offer these special appointments that are coordinated by Sarah and her team. We have pre-approved plans that we certify in advance that help folks get through the process very quickly. We now have 14 different designs that folks can choose from 7 different vendors. You're gonna hear from one of those vendors, that is Steve and prefabADU in just a moment. And we've got really exciting partnerships with innovators, and that's what this is about today. The partnerships we have with the private sector, in this case, to innovate and to offer unique products that can help folks get the ADU built and hopefully get to success. And of course, what we're announcing today is a partnership between prefabADU and 29th Street Capital that enables dozens of homeowners to get 0% interest loans up to 6 months with no payments and no interest. And then a transition period where the same homeowners are assisted in being able to get referrals and assistance to secure longer-term financing. We know the 6-month period is critical because, especially if you're using a prefabADU, you can get this built pretty quickly, but it's gonna take a few months, and construction financing is very, very expensive and very difficult for homeowners to get unless they've got a big amount of equity on their home. And so we want to see how we can find partners like prefabADU and 29th Street Capital working together who can make this happen. I'm grateful for the financial innovation of 29th Street Capital, and of course, the hard work of Steve and his team at prefabADU in providing pre-approved designs that homeowners could choose right off the shelf and be able to install in their backyards. So We look forward to this partnership. We've got extraordinary progress to report already. Just to point out, I mentioned a couple dozen ADUs we might have gotten permitted back in 2015. I'll tell you, we have accelerated tremendously. We had more than 450 permitted in 2019, just before the pandemic. To give you a sense of acceleration, this year we are already at 7 times that pace. They're being processed. We're on pace to get 1,000 ADUs permitted and hopefully built in the city of San Jose. That is a tremendous increase as we scale from just a couple dozen to thousands of ADUs. We're going to be offering a real solution to our affordable housing crisis. And to put it into context, last year, a year when we had a lot of hard times getting anything built because of this pandemic, Backyard Homes ADUs comprised more than 1/3 of our new housing units in our city. So this is a proven solution. It's a critical solution, and we're grateful to have amazing partners with us. So with no further ado, let me introduce you now to Steve, who's the president of prefabADU. Steve, thank you very much for your great work and your partnership.
Thank you, Mayor San Ricardo. I have to give big praise
Steve,
to you.
I believe you're muted right
now. I have to give thanks to you. Yeah, thanks to you for all the work you and the mayor's office and your planning and building staff has been doing. We've been doing a lot of work with your group over the last 4 years or more, and it's been very exciting in terms of the creativity.
Hey, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, I think we have him now? Okay, Steve, why don't you give it one more shot?
Okay, well, yeah, I want to start by just thanking you for all the work that you've been doing out of the mayor's office, as well as your planning and building staff. They've been a great team to work with, and they've been chasing all kinds of innovation along the way over the last handful of years as we helped participate in the launch of the pre-approved plan program. We were the first vendor to launch that product. It was a huge collaboration on setting up and structuring exactly how the pre-approved plans are supposed to look and what the city needs to actually make that efficient process. So this is more than just a simple the city decided to do something and companies worked outside of them. This is a collaboration effort. So it's a great segue into what we're doing now, because this has always been on our mind about the next phase of that is once we get the pre-approved plan program in place, the next step is how do we work with the city on scaling those permit applications. And so this is a great time to look at how these 3 entities and one more entity that is not with us on the Zoom call today, but needs to be recognized is Symbium. So it's the city of San Jose, us, prefabADU, 29th Street Capital, and Symbium. All of these things work cohesively together to make what we call a user-friendly experience. So I'm going to pop up a quick slideshow here to show a couple slides about what we're working on. And make sure everyone can see it here. Can you all see this?
We can. Thanks, Steve.
So this is just a quick overview. I don't want to waste a lot of time about who we are, but we've been a company in the ADU space for 16 years. So we're kind of considered the pioneers in this industry. Long before everybody thought this was a viable market, there were people who thought I was crazy. But we saw there was a great opportunity here. Our structure has always been to work with prefab products, so we've been doing that for 16 years. The overall mantra for us is to make these things easy, fast, and affordable, and that means get them done in 90 days or less. We've built over 300 of these. We play an active role in ADU legislation at the state level, as well as collaborating with cities like San Jose. And now it's about focusing on scaling and finance. One thing I want to mention about San Jose, because a lot of people have a hard time understanding about the logistics of what is physically possible in terms of a market. So this is a quick screen capture from Cymbium's products that we use on the back end to help us understand where properties can fit ADUs. And this quick screenshot here happens to be of a lot, all the lots 5,800 square feet or larger. So there's roughly 128,000 of these. This is the first size, this is the smallest size lot so far that we've built one of our pre-approved plans on, the David unit, which is a 640 square foot 2-bedroom unit. So we're basically saying our largest plan that we have to offer right now in pre-approved plan sets can work in approximately about 128,000 properties. So there's a great market there. If we look at the statistics, they show that roughly we are looking at a possible 25% adoption rate based on surveys done to consumers. So with that alone, we look at a possible 32,000 unit market that we could work with San Jose to make happen. So this is how we look at understanding opportunities so that we understand the work we should be putting in to make that a reality. So from there, we go to the next step is what is it that we need to do as a pilot? So the goal here was to combine these 4 entities together and say, how do we work together to streamline? And we start with something simple of let's create a number goal. So we thought, let's try and shoot for making 200 ADUs happen this year under this program. We're closing in on halfway through the year, so we'll see how well we go with this, but that's our goal. We're destined to use 3 to 5 pre-approved plans. Right now we have 2. And I'll show you, they were the ones behind me, and I can go into that in a minute. And we're going to add more plans based on consumer interaction as to what products are needed in different price ranges and size ranges. There's an online tool here, which I can show if we have enough time, that Cymbium has, which allows the consumer to basically input their property address and drag and drop these plans onto their property, and they're blue if it works, and if you move it around into different places, it goes red telling you it can't work there. So it's a really user-friendly interface to figure out how this can possibly work for them, and you're not obligated to reach out and talk to somebody or feel like you're going to get hard sold some product or something. This is a free system. Our products, our pre-approved plans are on that system, and it's easy to use. If we have time, I can do a quick demo of that, but I want to get through this, the rest of this first. The mayor's already mentioned the streamlining process. They've done a lot of work thus far, but we've also put in a lot of time with them over the last few months to really weed out the things in terms of properties that don't fit a good description of what we're after for this scaling model. I won't pretend to talk too much about the quality of the 0% interest loan, but I will tell you one thing that hasn't been mentioned. It's 100% financed for the whole ADU, and we're wrapping up a final decision on whether we will include the permitting fees or not. We'll still probably have a couple of days on that final decision, or Mike may even jump in with a final decision after I speak. But the end result is get people to the place where they're ready to go forward with this, and then we knock them out in 90 days. And I want to let you know that we're not experimenting with products here. We're an experienced vendor with 16 years of doing this. So what we have is pre-approved plans. They've been built from Seaside to Hillsburg, and we've done more than dozens of them across Northern California. So we're not asking the consumer to take part in an experiment from us on the building side. All we're really experimenting with here is a new loan product and a streamlining process so that we can continue to get information and make that whole process better in collaboration with the city. The last thing I just want to show you is we cover a lot of information in a short time frame. There's much more details about this on our website. This is the link, and I will do my best to share that publicly after we're all done with this as well. But this is where you go to find out more about the program, and it has links to the loan and everything else.
Steve, thank you. Fantastic. And that URL again is prefabADU.com. That's where you can get all that information, and there's a specific link there to take you to the San Jose program. And thanks for your partnership, Steve. I should also mention one more URL for folks. That is sjbackyardhomes.com. It can help you get through the city process and understand the rules and get all the connections to resources that you might need if you're a homeowner interested in building a backyard home. We are also honored to be joined by another partner, Mike Eganman, who is with 29th Street Capital, and they have developed this innovative loan product, 0% interest and no payments for 6 months. Thank you, Mike, so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Liccardo. And Steve, thank you for all the great information. We've been working pretty closely for going on a year now to develop this. So again, my name is Mike Eganman with 29th Street Capital. Very excited to partner on this pilot program, prefabADU, City of San Jose. And initially, we're looking to partner with between 20 and 30 property owners here in San Jose who'd like to add an ADU simply. This loan is 0% with no payments for 6 months. The secret sauce in this is prefabADU's ability to build in only 90 days. So what that does for the consumers, it allows them to obtain the unit, have it completed, and then there's another 90 days behind that where we'll work with you to go secure your traditional long-term financing at today's historically low rates. Typically, construction loans can be very difficult, lots of red tape, if not impossible. However, to contrast that, if you were to refinance with an existing structure, it's much easier to obtain. It's no different than all the banks out competing to get your business. So with this innovative loan program, we're basically providing a crucial direct solution to bridge this gap and allow the ADU to be built first. And then we walk those property owners into the financial institutions to secure that permanent financing. Having a completed ADU can also enhance a borrower's qualifications for a couple reasons. One being adding additional square footage can potentially add a higher appraised value when you're going to apply for that mortgage, as well as using additional rental income. So that could be the difference between a better term that could be structured for the next 20 to 30 years. Also, this is a partnership. We're looking to work directly with property owners and help them obtain the permanent financing. So as the unit's getting built, with the background in mortgage lending and understanding what the parameters are, we'll view this as a kind of holding hands across the finish line and work with homeowners to go talk to those financial institutions, banks, credit unions, and try and get the best favorable long-term financing. So the key really here is having the units built first so quickly gives a much better, stronger application when you're going in to obtain that. The program does say it's 6 months. If there is a little bit more time needed, we are going to offer an additional 12 months at probably above market interest rate with monthly payments. So if it ends up taking 7 months or 8 months, nobody's left with any balloon payments of any sort. So the goal really is a mutual partnership between all parties. Really, the key with this is we're going to start with somewhere between 20 and 30 homeowners here in San Jose, work through a lot of the logistics of the program, and then as we experience success, the plan is to roll it out to many more and prove this out and have success and a long-term vision. So that's really the basics of the loan. It's very simple. We're just trying to bridge that gap and provide an easy solution to help expedite this program.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thanks for being with us. And most importantly, thank you for stepping up in a big way to be able to offer this pilot program for dozens of San Jose homeowners who are interested in building backyard homes. One final thank you. I just want to thank Mackenzie Mossing, who's been spearheading this backyard homes effort here and this initiative for the city of San Jose. She's done a tremendous job bringing a lot of partners together and pushing us along and for our success. So we're happy to take any questions from anyone in the media who's with us. And I believe I'll be speaking Spanish media now or shortly? At the very end. Okay, great. So we'll be with you in Spanish in a moment.
Reminder to media to go ahead and raise your hands and we'll unmute you. Okay, we've got Gina from Bay City News. Gina, go ahead and speak.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I missed the first 5 minutes, so maybe you touched on this, so I apologize. But Um, who who is being targeted with these ADUs? I mean, I think it's safe to say that it's not unhoused folks, right? Because these are going to be built on other people's properties. So is it, their children who can't afford to move out? Who is it targeting?
Thanks, Gina. Yeah, an important question. So the good news is we have a very large supply of single family parcels, more than 120,000, as was pointed out, where ADUs can be built. There's no question that we would need to have a much more substantial subsidy to be able to bring rents down to help, for example, unhoused residents. We think the target for units like this are for young people who can simply not afford to pay rent, but may be working. It may be older people. It could be people of all ages who are somewhere in that very low income to moderate income range. And that's a very wide range, I know. What we're seeing with these prefab ADUs are typically smaller units, which would be more suitable for a renter who's simply struggling to be able to pay market rate rents in a typical apartment. We are seeing that these tend to be naturally affordable, although we know there are also larger ADUs that can be built with many more features that would look an awful lot more like market rate rents. What you're seeing here, though, with the prefab is really targeting renters who are below median primarily. And we find that there are a lot of homeowners who are happy to be able to offer that that opportunity, that housing opportunity to somebody who is willing to pay the rent. And maybe I should refer this question to Steve, since he makes the product. Be interesting to hear his thoughts about the target audience.
Yeah, I think that was a great response. I'll add to it that we watch statistics of what we've been doing over the last 16 years, and we still remain 80% of the ADUs that we build are typically built for people who are either trying to house family members who can't afford market rate housing, or they're being somewhat philanthropic in terms of like they just want to provide affordable housing even though it's not for a family member. The other 20%, and it fluctuates between 15 to 20% for us, is people who are building purely for income opportunities. So we have a long history of a heavily disproportionate ratio there, which leans in the favor of where we're constantly in the pursuit of trying to provide more affordable housing. In terms of looking at it like physically with what we're doing with the pre-approved plans we have, we watch and monitor if we can get these units built with the 0% interest loan, and then successfully convert them to an either new refinanced first mortgage or a good economical second mortgage. We're seeing that these products will move to a monthly mortgage rate that's somewhere around 50% of or less of the market rate rents. So that is, it keeps us in alignment with targeting that lower AMI group. Whether we don't control that, but the goal here is to help fulfill the demand that exists already for that.
I see. Thank you. Is it possible for me to ask a follow-up?
Please.
So, does that mean that the property owner will be paying that mortgage and then they kind of become the landlord for whoever moves into the ADU? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's my understanding.
That is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Gina. Next, we have Erica Kelly from KQED. She dropped her question in the chat. And are there any income limits to who will be able to access these funds? If not, how will the program ensure that it's lower income homeowners who can benefit? And then a follow-up after that, I'll let someone take that first. Or Erica, it looks like you're able to speak now if you want to ask that.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think this sort of builds on the previous question, but if the goal is to be for housing, is there a way to guarantee that, and that it's not necessarily for offices or workout studios, or is it up to the homeowners?
Well, to be clear, this is not a government program. So if we were investing public money, we would be imposing income restrictions of various kinds. This is entirely a private sector initiative, and one we hope that will produce the desired housing that will provide for a lot of folks who may be below median income and able to pay rent as a result of the creation of these units. And I say that based on our experience, given the size of the units, typically somewhere between 500, 700, or 800 square feet. But there's no income restriction because this is not a government program. I should say that we have been working with the Housing Trust and others to figure out if we can offer a subsidized product that would then impose income restrictions of various kinds and ensure the rents are affordable. That is to be determined. We're still working on that, and we have not yet been able to come up with the program that would enable that to happen. We do have funding, though, set aside through our Measure E funds to launch as soon as we can ensure that the financing is in place. I don't know if Steve or Mike want to comment.
Yeah, I'll hop in on that. You know, as Sam said, this is, you know, private. We're, from the finance standpoint, what we're looking for is the property owner, homeowner's ability to obtain that traditional long-term financing. So we're coming in as a gap, mainly to provide the construction funds to get from that A to B immediately, so that they can go get that C level, you know, permanent financing in place. So, you know, it's actually the opposite. You know, the income needs to be there. They have to have the ability to qualify. There is going to be credit parameters, you know, a certain loan to value restrictions in the beginning. We're probably going to be going about 80% of loan to value. You know, with the recent rise of values, that's going to be a lot easier to obtain. So we are looking for financially sound homeowners who are actually just looking for an easier path to get there. That's why it's 0%. So we're actually, as a short term. Now, I will say with the product, you know, the program, the long-term goal and the intent is to provide affordable housing. So I think as we go on, if there can be partnerships with, you know, some public money, some grants from the nonprofits, we're very open to working with them, and that's where we see the future of this. But at this moment, from our standpoint, at least for the first, say, 20 to 30, yeah, we're looking for qualified homeowners that just, you know, let's go get the unit built, then get the bank loan after, and they do have to qualify. So hopefully that clarifies.
To probably further clarify, Erica, I think Mike and I were probably answering different sides of that question. If we're talking about the income of the tenants as opposed to the income of the homeowners who are building the unit, obviously Mike needs to have homeowners who can qualify, and obviously that is not income restricted in any way. And our ambition is to be able to establish programs to enable these units to be focused on individuals who have income limitations. So we're hoping to get there. The good news is that if we can get enough of these built, that will obviously have an impact on rents overall by providing supply of naturally affordable housing, which again, from our experience, we've seen is typically below market.
Great, thank you. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
About the about that, how that works going after the 6 months to the bank. I just could I have a little bit more clarity on how
Mike, you want?
happens?
Yeah. So, and I apologize on the last one. I was definitely talking about the homeowners' financials. So the 6 month, it's you know, pretty simple. It takes 3 months to build the unit and 3 months to go apply for a loan and obtain it, which we'll help with. So, you know, a loan right now should be anywhere between 30 to 45 days. So this seems very feasible. If there's a reason why somebody can't get the loan, let's say, you know, temporary job loss, or, you know, there's a plethora of reasons that might cause a loan to have some challenges. You know, not everybody fits a perfect box. We will extend the note will have a provision where there's an extra 12 months beyond that, where we'll, you know, it'll just be at an interest rate. So an interest rate and payment will kick in at that point until they can get the financing. So we're really a short-term gap. Just, you know, it's very simple. If you go to apply without the ADU built, it's challenging. If there's an ADU built, and even better yet, rental income is in place, it's very easy. So we're trying to make it easy for people. So we are going to underwrite ahead of time and look at the credit risk profile of those property owners. You know, it's in all of our best interests. This is a mutual partnership between all parties. So really the goal is to never get beyond 6 months, but, you know, we're realists. We know that, you know, out of 20 to 30, sure, we're going to have a couple that maybe can't get this loan done in 6 months. And the best answer I can give is we're just going to do our good faith best effort to to help them find that solution, that permanent financing. And maybe in the future that includes some, nonprofits and housing trust funds and public money. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And that's the beauty of a pilot. We get to figure it out and kind of come up with the solutions as we go.
Excellent, thank
Just
you.
provide a little more context, Erica. If a homeowner was a developer and they were going out in the market for a construction loan, they'd be paying double-digit interest rates, 16, 17% or more for that construction loan until they actually have a product, an apartment building that's up, ready to be leased. Obviously, homeowners aren't developers. They can't pay those kinds of interest rates. They're a big risk for them. Being able to offer a 0% loan for that period while it's under construction until they have an actual unit that can be leased, that's a huge help. So that's why we think this is so significant.
Great. Thank you,
Great,
Eric.
thank you so much.
Thanks, Erica. We have time for 2 more questions. Madeline, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for calling on me. I was just wondering, once the loan program specifically with 29th is up and running, you mentioned that you're going to start out with like 20 to 30 homeowners. I was wondering if there was a goal for how many loans can be administered per year for homeowners hoping to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer that. The success of the pilot will dictate the scalability of the program. So, if it works with 20, it could work with 200 and 2,000 and beyond. It really just becomes a financial model that if it makes sense with the private sector and private capital, it's a beautiful marriage. I mean, really what happens here, again, the secret sauce, and I can't praise Steve and his family, they're doing a great job with prefabADU. Having the ability to build a unit in 90 days to get somebody essentially bankable, and again, a much easier bankable product. If that success continues and we prove that out, the goal of this is to continue and expand. So, it's hard to put a number on it right now. We're just, let's take some baby steps and look at these first 20, 30, collect the data and see how the success works out.
Be more ambitious, or I guess, like any politician would be, I'll try to brag more and say, look, I think this could be transformational in our attempts to make backyard homes, ADUs, a viable affordable housing option. If we can move from a couple dozen ADUs built every year to several thousand, we will have had a major impact in reducing housing costs for thousands and thousands of families in the Bay Area. And we want San Jose to be that demonstration city that shows the rest of the Bay Area and the rest of the country how this can be done. So I'm very excited about this. Obviously, we need to start with a pilot and prove it up.
Thanks, Mayor. And last question from World Journal. Are there any rent limits for ADUs?
There are no rent limits on this particular product because this is entirely a private sector transaction. Gentlemen, you're hearing from Steve and Mike, both represent private sector entities. But at some point, when the city is able to fashion a partnership with lenders, in which there's any public money, then we'll certainly be talking about rent restrictions on for tenants. I don't know, Steve, if you want to add anything.
I do actually. That's a question that is tied to something that the industry hasn't been doing a very good job of actually educating people about, is that there's actually many different lanes for the ADU market, just like there's many different lanes of the housing market. There's affordable housing built, and then there's high-end custom homes built, and there are entities that serve those different markets. We don't serve the higher end market. We don't do a lot. People don't come to us and say, hey, I've got this super creative idea, I want you to build it. We've moved on from that. We started with trying to find what we are and who we're supposed to serve in the beginning years, but we spent the better part of more than 10 years trying to hone our product into being a fast and efficient solution that's highly repeatable. And so when you're in this lane, it is about focusing on that speed and that affordability. So for us, the flip side of that coin is we're always cognizant of the total dollar cost and how that translates into rentable units. And so this next phase that we're working on with Mike and 29th Street Capital is working towards creating that first product that hasn't existed for all these years, is bridging the gap to get the units built. I've sat in many discussions at the Federal Reserve with 6 to 10 banks, as well as back in Washington, D.C. with Fannie and Freddie and banks from all over the nation. And all of those discussions are about trying to get something started. But the reality was that we had to go all the way back down to base level with what we do and tie something to us so that we can get a win. And we needed a city that was willing to cooperate on their behalf of like finding what they need out of this as well. So this is a collaborative effort to tie all these things together so that we don't create very high-end, high-dollar products that don't solve the housing problem. They may create more units, and they may get lots of publicity for their work of art, but they're not about solving the affordability problem. So Mike is doing a great job of giving us that kickstart of that bridge loan product for all intents and purposes to get the construction built. After that, if we can roll it into the consumer's first or second, then our traditional base of people, that is the 80%, that is providing housing for people who can't afford market rate, they're able to do this at that fraction of a cost. And so whatever their mortgage is, we tend to see that's exactly what they're charging as rent. So it isn't about the income side as much as it is about providing that housing.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, everyone.
As you can tell with, for example, a 600 or 700 square foot ADU, there is a target market, as Steve is just articulated. And obviously it's not for renters able to pay $3,000 a unit. We are out there trying to create housing for all of our residents. And I think this is going to be a great solution for many. Any other questions?
That is all we have time for.
Okay.
We're going to hang out to the end, Mayor, for
Go to
Spanish.
Spanish?
And
Okay,
everybody
great.
else, thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, I want to thank, I'll go to Spanish in just one second. I just wanted to say again, thank you to Rachel Davis, Esme Bautista, and Gina Rodriguez for putting on this event, as well as to Mackenzie Mossing for leading this effort. And thank you again to Steve and Mike for your partnership, and we wish you continued success. I'll now give it a shot in Spanish. Estamos aquí para anunciar una gran oportunidad por dueños y inquilinos por toda la ciudad de San José. Muchos propietarios luchan por financiar su ADU o mejor, casa en el patio trasero. Muchos propietarios luchan por financiar las casas del patio trasero porque los bancos todavía los ven como inversiones riesgosas, especialmente sin prueba de ingresos de su inquilino. Y los participantes tendrán, sobre este programa, los participantes tendrán 6 meses, todos los propietarios tienen 6 meses con 0% de interés, sin pagos, para permitir y construir su casa en el patio trasero, prefabricada, y recibirán referencias y asistencia para asegurar financiamiento a largo plazo. Este programa es una gran oportunidad para crear más vivienda asequible a todos los residentes de San José y también para ofrecer los dueños, los propietarios, una oportunidad de más ingreso en usar su propiedad. ¿Hay preguntas en español?
No questions, Mayor.
Nope. Maybe I didn't say it in any way that was intelligible. So if all that sounded like gobbledygook, just let me know and I'll be happy to try to clarify. All right. Well, I guess
I also wanted to let you know,
Steve and Mike, thank you both.
Thank you, Sam, Mayor, absolutely, and Mackenzie and the entire planning and building staff, as well as Mike for all of his work in helping us launch this.
Great job, gentlemen. Take care.